Akaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasaradi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Today we are covering the chapter, a description of Jambudvipa with the shlokas number 17 to 19. I'll share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 17. Tesham Vishiryamananam Atimadura Surabhi Sugandhi Bahularuna Rasodenaru Runoda Namanadi Mandara Giri Shikaran Vipatanti Purve Ne Lavratam Upaplavayati. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When all those solid fruits fall from such a height, they break, and the sweet, fragrant juice within them flows out and becomes increasingly more fragrant as it mixes with other scents. The juice cascades from the mountain in waterfalls and becomes a river called Arunoda, which flows pleasantly through the eastern side of Ilavrat. Shloka 18. Yad upajoshanad bhavanya anucharinam punya jana vadhunam avayava sparsha sugandha vato dashayojanam samantat anu vashayati. The pious wives of the Yakshas act as a personal maidservants to assist Bhavan, the wife of Lord Shiva, because they drink the water of the river Arunoda. Their bodies become fragrant. And as the air carries away that fragrance, it perfumes the entire atmosphere for 80 miles around. Shloka 19. Evam jambu phalanam atyucha nipat vishirnanam anasti prayanam ibakaya nibhanam rasena jambunama nadi meru mandara shikarat ayuta yojanat avanitale nipattanti dakshine natmanam yavad ilavratam pasya ayati. Translation. Similarly, the fruits of the jambu tree, which are full of pulp and have very small seeds, fall from a great height and break to pieces. Those fruits are the size of elephants, and the juice gliding from them becomes a river named Jambu Nadi. This river falls a distance of 10,000 yojanas, and from the summit of Meru Mandara to the southern side of Ilavrata, and floods the entire land of Ilavrata with juice. But we can only imagine how much juice there might be in a fruit that is the size of an elephant, but has a very tiny seed. Naturally, the juice from the broken jumbo fruits forms waterfalls and floods the entire land of Ilavat. That juice produces an immense quantity of gold, as will be explained in the next verses. Hare Krishna. So, this section of Srimad Bhagavatam basically explains the different parts of the universe. Um, Basically, we call it as Vedic cosmology. Mm. And here the description of the Ilavrata Varsha, which is very interesting and fascinating, has been explained. It's mentioned that very big fruit, the size of the elephant, which has a very tiny seeds also. And second thing that I mentioned is the quantity of juice as well as the fragrance which floods the land like a river. So why these explanations have been given? And the modern people, they may get bewildered. So they may not understand because they think this as beyond perception, sensory perception. So they can't perceive. Even being devotees, we also can't perceive many of the things. But the difference between the materialistic person and us is we faithfully accept it because it's given in the Shastra. And the modern people, they may quote it as some kind of imagination or some kind of mythology. And it may not be true story or true explanation. But Srila Prabhupada clearly mentions that it is the real fact. And always the Bhagavatam and other scriptures, they explain the reality or the real truth. So the description of whatever Ilavrata Varsha or Jambudvipa that are mentioned here, the materialistic people may not accept it, but devotees' mission, or in fact, in Krishna's mission, is to remove these misunderstanding and give the truth in reality. So that's why even Krishna descends from Goloka Vrindavan or spiritual world to the material world for that purpose only. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. So many things we may not perceive as per our senses. That's why there is something called Pratyaksha Praman, Anumana Praman, and the Shabda Praman. So Shabda Pramana, it gives the things which may be beyond our senses, but they actually exist in reality. So many things our imperfect senses cannot perceive. So Lord, through the Shastra, he destroys the imperfect perceptions. And even the Guru or the Acharyas, the sadhus, they have realized these things. That's why it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that one has to approach a Guru to understand this higher science. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya padekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattva darshinaha. So we have Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Shastras are apaurusheya. So whatever descriptions given may be looking like it is surprising to us or it is inconceivable to us, but in fact they really exist. So that is the reason Shastras give us the light of knowledge. कृष्ण सूर्य सम माया है अंधकार जहान कृष्ण तहां नहीं माया अधिकार. So many things which are very clear, we don't have to interpret. Srila Prabhupada clearly says this. If it's very clear, there is no need of any interpretation. So many things in the Shastras, they are very, very clear. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Midamuttamam, Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartumam Vyayam. Here it is mentioned, Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam. So what does it mean? It gives direct perception by realization. Direct perception of the self by realization. Realization, what is realization? It's a sakshatkara. Sakshatkara, it comes by the mercy of the Lord. When we practice the process in our day-to-day life, then we get realizations. So that is why basically the thing starts with the faith or the Shraddha. Ado Shraddha tata sadhu sangha tata bhajana kriya. Without a faith, we can't start the spiritual practices. We can't start the spiritual life. So that is why the basic element is the Shraddha or the faith. When the faith is there, then one understands that Krishna conscious practices are not an imaginary practices, and whatever has been mentioned here are also not imaginary, because many devotees they have the experience of these going to different planets, or experiences with the higher beings. So that this is actually most practical subject. So here, even in the 18th verse, it is mentioned these yakshas. They are the personal maid servants to assist Bhavan. So, and also explained about different rivers, all these things. So these are the actual fact. So here it's mentioned the fragrance goes to almost 80 miles around, and the juice floods just like a river. So we know what experience we have. If we take one mango or one fruit, then when we are cooking bhoga for the Lord, then out of one fruit we may get one cup of this cup or one jug of juice. That's the experience what we have. But here it's mentioned the size of the elephant, the fruits, and when various fruits fall, it is creating the river itself. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is also mentioned as the fruit of Vedic knowledge. So what is mentioned? Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukamukadamratadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho parasika bhuibhavukaha. Galitam phalam means it's a fruit of Vedic knowledge. And since it's coming out from a pure devotee like Sukadeva Goswami, it becomes like a nectar. Amrita Dravasam. And what is it actually? It is also Rasamalayam. It is also full of rasa, but it's a spiritual rasa. And those who are real rasikas, pure devotees, Paramahamsa devotees, they relish this sweet Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Bhagavatam gives the description of Jambudvip or Ilavrata Varsha. One thing we can understand from this is how insignificant we are. We are very, very insignificant. The universe is very, very big, and there is matter, and there is a spirit, and there is controller of both. So basically we have to understand these things only by our spiritual practice, that we should be able to differentiate between the matter, what is matter, and what is spirit, and who is the controller of both. And basically, this universe is also represented within our body also. Like we have different chakras, and so elevate the consciousness up, and the yogi, what he does, uh, he elevates the consciousness, and through the Brahmarandra, he releases the soul so that he can go to spiritual world. So basically, here we can understand that we should not be attached to matter, and we should not be attached to material body, but we have to transcend and go back to God. So Srila Prabhupada stress this point that we have to have the understanding of this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam and about the universe, about what is material nature, and what is the soul, what is Jiva, what is Ishvara. So then we get the full conviction about the material nature that this is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam, and then we are prepared to go back to God before we leave the body. So whole thing is, preparing our consciousness. So that is why he told that you create a universal structure and present it in the TOVP, or the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, scientifically. Explain it in a scientific way. What is the movement of the sun? What is the movement of the eclipses? How it happens, and how the seasons are happening? These are. Please explain it in the scientific, giving the scientific descriptions, how the universe is functioning, and or how the orbit of the planets are there. What is the different planetary systems where they are? Then the people will be impressed. So it is basically, it is the science. It is not just a religion. So here, Jambudweep is the central island in the Bhumandala, and we know that there are 7 islands and 7 oceans. So, in fact, these there are various stories we see all across throughout the Bhagavatam, the different kings, or this one. They are in different varshas, like the Agnindra and the Ila. Ila was in from the Ilavrata Varsha. Then there is a solar dynasty, there is a lunar dynasty, all these things. Then the King Nabi, and the various descendants of Manu, all these things. We will try to understand from. I have created a small PPT to explain, like universal structure. This is basically Karanodakashai, Vishnu laying, and different universes. We will try to understand. Of course, you may be knowing this. You are seeing my screen, right, Prabhu? So.
Yes, Prabhu, we can see.
Yeah. So we will see by understanding where we are, the entire Srishti of the Lord, and try to allocate where we are in each slide. So basically, this is the entire spiritual world where you are seeing my mouse. This is the entire spiritual world, and below we have the material world. So, and in between there is complete Brahma Jyoti. So basically, we can see that here it's mentioned Hare Krishna Mahamantra, directly coming from Goloka Dhama. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. So basically, the topmost planet in the entire both material and spiritual creation is the Goloka Vrindavan Dham. So we know that it's a Madhurya Dham, and we are seeing it is like a lotus flower. And from there, from Krishna's body, actually the entire Brahma Jyoti is emanating complete. And then we know that Krishna expands himself. First expansion is Lord Balaram. Then Balaram expands as first Chaturvyu expansion, which is taking place in the Madhurya Dham. That is Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. And he is called Moola Sankarshan, and from the Moola Sankarshan we have Narayana expanding. And from Narayana we have unlimited Vaikuntha planets. You are seeing here, it's unlimited Vaikuntha planets. And Narayana then expands has secondary Chaturvyuha, which takes place in the Aishwarya Dham. That is again Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva Sankarshan. And this Sankarshan is called Mahasankarshan. And from Mahasankarshan comes Mahavishnu or Karanodakashaya Vishnu. So below Vaikuntha Dham, we have Kailas, we can see here, and Kailas, and then below is the Karana Ocean, which Karana Ocean or Viraja River separates the spiritual world and the material world. And Mahavishnu, when Mahavishnu exhales from his each pore, and different pores, of course, we can't say each pore, but different pores, many one universe is coming, and there are unlimited material universe. So this is one universe which is called Brahmanda. Why it is called Brahmanda? It belongs to Brahma and it is in the form of Anda or the egg, actually oval shaped. And we actually in this image where we are here. Actually, this is the Bhulok. We are here. And in this, we are somewhere here, Bhulok. And in we have Karanodakashaya Vishnu expanding as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. From his lotus comes, from his navel comes the lotus flower from which Lord Brahma is born. And Sadashiva expands as Rudra, and we have Durga Devi here. And we know the 14 planetary system. So this is like a jail. And we have various, this why it's called jail. There are 7, 5 plus 2, then last one is the Mahatattva. The layers, which each layer is 10 times bigger than the previous layer. Starts from the earth here, some thousands of yojanas. Then next layer is 10 times bigger, which is water. Then we have air, then fire, and then the ether, then mind, intelligence, and then intelligence, false ego, and then Mahatattva. So these are the different layers, and these layers are physically present. So that's why entire this Brahmajyoti will not penetrate through, but it reflects through the sun. So the Brahmajyoti, which is there in the spiritual world, it reflects through the sun. That's why we get the light here in the our dark material world. So basically, before explaining the further, we will see the house structure is there here with respect to the Anda. So basically, this what we are seeing, this one is the Garbhodaka ocean, in which there is a tortoise, and then on the back of the tortoise, there is Anantashesha. Anantashesha is holding the entire universe. Here it is shown big, but it is mentioned that it is just like a small seed on his hood. It is not very difficult for him to hold. It is just like a small seed, the universe. And Anantashesha is holding the entire universe. And first it starts with the lower planetary system. We'll see that structure. And this is the middle planetary system. There is the Loka mountain and 4 elephants are balancing all those things. Mount Sumeru is here. And of course, again, we are somewhere here. And then there is a pole star, which is Dhruvaloka. And above that, we have the six upper planetary system. The topmost is the Brahmaloka. So basically, that is the structure. And here we can see with the Bhumandala. Bhumandala is the middle one, the Bhuloka, where we see that. And then comes the Bhuvarloka and the Swargaloka. Actually, Bhuvarloka is the in-between space where between Bhuloka and the Swargaloka. And it is basically the Anda root, like Brahma Anda. And what are the lower planetary system is the Patala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Talatala, Sutala, Vitala, and Atala. Atala is the most nearest to the Bhuloka. And all these are underground. That's why it is called Bilaswarga. It is completely underground and there is no sunlight that is going inside. Only sunlight is above the Bhuloka. So up to Swargaloka, we see that. And this is the another view where lower planetary system. It is seven subterranean heaven. It is called subterranean heaven. Means there are three types of heaven. We have read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. One is the real Swargaloka, and then there is this subterranean heaven, which is called Bilaswarga. And the third one is the in the our planet only, the countries like which are having more opulent and material enjoyments, that is also the called Swarga. So basically the Bhumandala is the middle. Here you can see, which is containing the 7 islands and 7 oceans. And which are the oceans? 7, the sea of salt, sea of sugarcane, sea of wine, ghee, yogurt, milk, and pure water. And what are the different dvipas? Pushkara, Shaka, Krauncha, Kusha, Shalmali, and Palaksha. And the innermost is the Jambudvipa. And in Jambudvipa, there are various Varshas, and the southern Varsha is called the Bharata Varsha. And we are somewhere here, again here. And this is the Bhumandala and different oceans and different islands. And the in between there is a Mount Meru. There, all the Varshas are like the lotus flower, and the Mount Meru is like a owl. So the same thing is explained here. And then this is the Jambudvip, and we have different Varshas. Basically, Bharata Varsha, we are somewhere here again. So Bharata Varsha, then we get the Himalayas. Then next comes the Kimpurusha Varsha. Then it is differentiated from the Hemakuta. Then Hari Varsha, then Nishad. So on the right side, there is a Bhadrarsha Varsha. Then left side Ketumala, and on the northern side, we have Uttarakuru. This Mount Meru, or which is it's a golden Sumeru mountain. It is actually like narrow at the bottom, and it is wider at the top. That is why 4 other mountains they give support to that. That they are the mountains called Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, and Kumuda. And apart from that, we have there is a small mountains which in the each directions. They are Jatara, Deva, Kuta, Pavana, Pariyatra, all those things, and Kailasa, Karavira, all those. This one. Again, here we are situated in the Bharata Varsha. This is Jambudvipa. There are various Varshas. In that, Bharata Varsha is the one. And how it is, we see that here. This is the structure. This is the golden Sumeru. And the 4 mountains are supporting it. and this is the Bharatavarsha. And this is the salt water. And here again, to zoomed view of Bharatavarsha, there are 9 islands, or they are called the Navadvipa. And then the Earth. Here is the Earth planet. You can see this is the one, and we see the Himalayas. The Himalayas which we are seeing is this, just it looks very small, but they are actually 80,000 miles up big. So we can see the size of the Himalayas. Basically, this in the universe, this universe is rotating, keeping the pole star or Dhruvaloka as the center. And here we can see one dolphin, right? That is the transcendental dolphin, which yogis can see when they are meditating. They can see this dolphin. So basically, beyond Loka mountains, there is uninhabited land. And sunlight cannot go beyond Loka mountain. And all the 4 elephants which you are seeing, they balance the entire Bhumandala and the structure. Basically, that is for balancing. And we have then comes various planets in different planetary systems. As we see here, that we have Swargaloka. Swargaloka is the heavenly planets where different demigods they live. Basically, the Bhuvarloka is for the ghosts and the Rakshasas. Then the Maharloka, where different tapasvis they live, and even Tapoloka, there are various tapasvis. Maharloka is for the yogis, Tapoloka is for the tapasvis, Janaloka is for the sages, different Rishimunis. Then the Satyaloka is the Lord Brahma's abode, topmost planet in the material universe. So basically, before going ahead, this is the lower planetary system. It is mentioned that Sutala Loka and the other places, other Patala, where this it is no sunlights are there, but the jewels, the different monies and the ratnas, all those things, they lighten the entire atmosphere. But it's said that some of the planets are much more beautiful. This Bila Swarga sometimes is more beautiful than the actual Swarga. But there is no sunlight actually. Its beauty is increased by these pearls and the ratnas, all those things. So Mayadhanama created various palaces and is a beautiful city where they are completely involved in the material sense gratification. So now question comes, why these explanations are there in the Shastra? So now we understood roughly the universal structure and where the planets are there. Why, this Shukadeva Goswami is giving these explanations to Parikshit Maharaj at the point of death? That we have to understand, because the nature of the conditioned soul is to enjoy. It is a bhoga vritti. And these explanations are there because, in the holidays, people want to go for different places. They call here maybe Kashmir, they may go, or Kulu, Manali, all those things are. Some may go to Switzerland, or they call Bali, all those different places. There is the holiday packages. All these different things are there. Why these are there? Because the conditioned soul has the tendency to enjoy the material nature, the beauty of the material nature, and along with this, with their wife or children, they want to go and enjoy. That the tendency of enjoyment, that propensity is there, and these explanations are also given. Even it is not only in the human beings, but also if we see the dog or any other animals. Suppose a dog is there in the house, and if the dog is nobody is there in the house, then the dog may go and sleep in the on the soft cushion or the soft bed. It is, even the dogs have this tendency, not only human beings. Then even the demigods, we see that demigods also, they go with their apsaras, and they go to different lakes. There are so many explanations. Even in the this sons of Kuvera. So there the various explanations, they go and enjoy, and different lakes, mountains, valleys. And even in the eighth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Gajendra, how he wanted to enjoy, and he was caught by the crocodile. Before that, the explanations of different these lakes and mountains, beautiful lakes, then the fragrant, and all the different explanations are given. Why these explanations are given? Even here it is given, the rivers are flowing and there is a fragrant for 80 miles. Then from the juice which is going, the gold is formed. Generally, everybody is attracted. Most of the people are attracted to gold and the pearls, jewels. So these things are abundantly there in the heavenly planets, or even the Bilaswarga. And everyone want to go there and enjoy. These descriptions are there because we have this tendency to enjoy, but we also have to understand that this is not the place for enjoyment. We have to go back to Godhead. So we have to give up the attachment to the material world. These descriptions are there. That is because when we are going, these pure devotees, they explain why these descriptions are there. Because when the liberated soul is going to Vaikuntha planets, then he has to go through all these planetary systems, and he should not get bewildered by seeing the attractive features of the material world. That is why we have to understand by what is the nature of the higher planetary systems or Bilaswarga, so that we are not attached, and we become detached by this one, and we become more attracted to the pure devotional service rather than the various material world. Various these lakes and the mountains, valleys. We should not be bewildered by these things. We should have the complete knowledge that yes, in the higher planetary systems, we have higher enjoyment, and higher things are there to enjoy, but the real enjoyment is there by being the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bhartuhu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasanudas. That is the real enjoyment. So even in the Bhagavatam, the description of these Vaikuntha planets and spiritual world is there. Even in the third canto, descriptions of the spiritual world is there, and in the fifth canto, descriptions of the material world is there. So we have to understand, one of the topic is to understand the both material nature and the spiritual nature, and then we have to understand that our real nature is spiritual. We should not have the bhoga vritti or enjoyment propensity, because here also we have beautiful trees, but the trees here and the trees in the spiritual world are different. Trees here, a mango tree can give only mango, the apple tree can give only apple. But in the spiritual world, everything is personal, and that means everything is jivatma. So that's a person. So the person, if we ask something, that person, that trees can give anything what we demand. The mango, we want mango, it will give mango. And of course, he can't say it, he will give or she will give, because they are the persons, personalities. If you want apple, they will give apple. Whatever. That's why they are called kalpa vraksha. These are fulfilling trees. Hmm. And they are eternal and full of conscious. Hmm. But here it's different. And then that is the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. And another difference is there, that the difference in the attitude. In the material world, we try to enjoy ourselves. But in the spiritual world, we try to give enjoyment to Krishna. For example, here Nandanandana garden is there in the heavenly planets. But that Nandanandana garden, Indra wants to enjoy, and some these demons come and conquer the Swargaloka, and they want to enjoy the Nandanandana gardens. The whole consciousness is, I will enjoy. But in the spiritual world, there are different birds or the plants. One bird is singing for the pleasure of Krishna, and another bird starts singing for the pleasure of Krishna, and it gives more enjoyment to Krishna. Then this bird stops singing, and it hears the singing of the other bird or the other dumbi. It starts hearing that. There is no competition or the attitude of proving I am the better, I am the best person. That attitude is, that consciousness is not there. Basically, even all the plants, they push forward Tulsi to, first, so that Tulsi can give more pleasure to Lord. So that is the consciousness in the spiritual world, that everybody want to give pleasure to Krishna, and they are not competing each other, in the sense that there is no envy, there is no competition. So that is why Srila Prabhupada told ISKCON temples are the embassies of the spiritual world. That means, what does that mean, that embassies of the spiritual world? Of course, in the spiritual world, we know that everything is made of gold and ruby, jewels, and diamonds. Actually, our temples are maybe made of just of concrete. Then why Srila Prabhupada told that these are the embassies of the spiritual world? That is because of the consciousness. The consciousness of whatever we follow we are following in the temple, or for that matter, even at our home, is we are the servant of the servant of the servant. There is no envy, there is no competition, there is no negative things there. There is an attitude of service. I am the servant of the servant of the servant. So that mode is there. So that is why in that consciousness, it is like spiritual world, that everybody want to become servant of the servant. So even in Vaikuntha, there is a awe and reverence. So in that various kind of 5 kinds of liberation, one of the liberation is the Salokya Mukti. But in that Mukti also, one attains, he will be living in the same planet as the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the various forms of Narayana. But it doesn't mean that he sees Narayana on the day-to-day basis. One may see once in a year or once in 2 years. But the Goloka Vrindavana, the mood is totally Madhura or Madhurya. That is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that we have to follow in the footsteps of gopis of Vrindavan. Because even in the devotees, there are various gradations. Even in Goloka Dham, there is different gradations. There is a Shantaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, then Madhuryaras. Of course, we know all the 5 rasas. So the mood in the Vrindavan Dham is we try to become the servant of the servant. That is, even when we are doing morning Tulsi Arati, we pray to Tulsi Maharani. Seva adhikara diye karo nija dasi. So please engage us in the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. We don't say, I have the, adhikar or authority that I will directly serve Radha and Krishna. We don't say that. We approach the Tulsi, or we approach another Vrajavasi. So without the mercy of the Vrajavasis or without the mercy of Tulsi or another pure devotee, we can't get the entrance to Goloka Vrindavan. So that is why we pray, make me resident of Goloka Vrindavana Dham. So that is the mood which we pray every day, that I want to be servant of servant. This is the mood which we are trying to develop. But what is the mood when these descriptions are given the conditioned soul? There they have the desire to go to lake and other beautiful places so that they enjoy themselves. The desire is to enjoy themselves. But here, when you are singing Tulsi Arati or doing devotional service, the desire is I become the servant of the servant, and please, Tulsi Maharani, please engage us in service of Sri Radha and Krishna. So that there is a totally different consciousness altogether. So this we have to understand what is the difference between the consciousness. And we don't want to enjoy, even though they may be very, very beautiful. These places which are explained, they are far, far more beautiful than what we can perceive actually. But still, we are not attracted to these, and we are attracted to the service of the Lord. And even the Vrindavan is a simple village. It is cows and simple living. There is all the cow dung and the simple huts. But these places are mentioned as very opulent in the sense of beauty. And of course, if we compare this one with the beauty of real Goloka Vrindavan, the all opulence of Vaikuntha is actually the Chintamani, the grain of the sand of Vrindavan is having much more opulence than all of the Vaikunthas. That is Goloka Vrindavan. But it's a simple village there. Krishna is and covered girls, covered boys. So the consciousness is totally different. So we want to develop the consciousness of becoming the servant of the servant and approaching the another Vrajavasi, another pure devotee, or another like devotees like Tulsi Maharani, and we pray to them to make us a resident of Vrindavan. That is the mood. But whereas these what different explanations of the material universe, whatever is given, the material consciousness is I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor, and I am the controller. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. But we have to give up this tendency of I, me, and mine, and we have to focus on the consciousness of giving pleasure to Krishna. Rashikena Rashikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchat. So that is the mood of becoming servant of the servant. So that is what we learn from these explanations. Whatever we saw that, the Bilaswarga or the explanations of Jambudvip or different Varshas and the higher planetary systems, they may be more beautiful and more opulent, but we are not concerned about that. We are concerned about becoming the servant of the servant of the servant to give pleasure to the Lord. That is our real pleasure. By becoming the servant of the servant, we get the pleasure of being the Dasanudas. That is our real happiness. So that is what we take away from this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So I think I'll stop here. Is there any questions or corrections or comments? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a very nice overview of explaining why this material universe was explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, this end of his life, and also the background and how we should be actually having faith on the shastras and verdict of the scriptures. Thank you, Prabhuji. I would request the devotees to unmute your mic and share your questions or comments or reflections.
Hare Krishna. If there are no questions.
Hare Krishna devotees, are there any questions?
Oh, no, Prabhu, it's very clear. Prabhu, Saturday or Sunday's link, can you post, Prabhu, please?
Sankarshan, which link, Mataji?
No. I'm asking Sankarshan Priya Prabhu. Like today's wonderful lecture, you've explained it very nicely. Dandavad
Thank
Pranam, Prabhu.
Dandavad.
What's the question, Mataji? Radharani Mataji.
No. The Saturday or Sunday, we missed the lectures. Can you just give the link, Prabhu?
I can YouTube.
In the chat only, to everybody will get it, Prabhu.
Okay, I'm actually traveling now.
Yes,
I will-
after. Yes, Prabhu. No problem.
Hare
If there are
Krishna,
no
Mataji.
questions, yes, ma'am.
Rani Mataji, please share that link with me also. Thank
Sure,
you.
Mataji. I will share it.
Okay, Prabhuji, if there are no questions, we can end today's sessions with Vaishnava Pranam. Pancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripas
Patitanam Pavanam.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru
Jai.
Shabbat ki jai.
Krishna.
Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jai Gaur
Jai.
Premanande Hari Hari
Hare
Bol.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.